we're going to go into our next topic, which is both intriguing and confusing. Read a wonderful article the other day about the mechanical Turk, which is a thing in history. And our conversation is not necessarily going to be about mechanical Turk, but the idea that people who really don't know things hear of something, think they understand it, and then try to apply that concept incorrectly into something new in the present. They press their meaning into something that doesn't mean that. And I realize that sounds disassociative and technically disconnective, which I would say is right. That's the whole point of what I'm about to say. So here's this thing called the mechanical Turk. Where is my thing? Yeah. And this is a wonderful, interesting article that talks about mechanical Turk, an elaborate 18th century hoax that played chess like an AI robot, right? Artificial intelligent robot. An elaborate device called mechanical Turk defeated in chess Benjamin Franklin, yes, that Benjamin Franklin. Napoleon Bonaparte, yes, that guy at chess. And then, many years later, Edgar Allan Poe, yes, that Edgar Allan Poe, wrote a story about the mechanical Turk saying it's all been a ruse. It's fake. And people lost a lot of money betting on people who were playing against not a robot, but a person. And here's the short scoop on this, and this helps us to set the stage for mechanical Turkism. The mechanical Turk, a wooden box containing an elaborate mechanism inside and a mannequin on top, played chess against and defeated Benjamin Franklin, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Charles Babbage. After 60 years of fooling the world, Edgar Allan Poe revealed why he believed the Turk was a hoax. And the Turk was not the first AI robot. There was a human on the inside. So this story goes and gives all the glorious and gory details about how these really smart people were duped by this hoax. And here it is. This is the mechanical Turk right here. And there's a chessboard, and the chessboard had magnets on the underside of it that were marked. And this person, this is a fake robot. This is the person in here by candlelight, sitting in the box with his own chess set here, and would look up and see where the opponent was moving their pieces because of the mechanical magnets that were attached somehow to the bottom pieces of the pieces that would move. And how they did that with a knight moving and jumping, I don't know, but obviously they figured it out. And then this person, who was clearly a pretty good chess player, the only person he didn't meet was the chess master Philidor. And this guy in here, the fake Turk, I guess, would move the arms of the mechanical Turk to make the move. And if you tried to cheat by making an illegal move, or two moves when it should only be one, the mechanical Turk would do one of two things. One, slam his fist on the table, ending the game, or the mechanical Turk would slam his fist on the table and then clear all the pieces off the board in fury. And people were shocked. How does the mechanical Turk know that I cheated? And I guess in the first game with Napoleon cheated did 3 moves instead of 1, and the Turk caught on and cleared the board and said, "Get out." Not get out. He didn't speak, but... And then Napoleon said, "Oh, all right," and came in and played a regular game, 2 games, lost the second game rather quickly against not this person, but the hidden person. Now, I don't understand how people, and this is the door right here, you can kind of see back here, where this person would enter and sit. I guess the whole thing would be rolled in. It looks like there are roller casters here. It'd be rolled in, and then you would play against the Turk. Now, how nobody knew there was a person in there just is very hard to believe for 60 years. And the originator of this made a lot of money, sold it to another guy who made a lot of money for about 10 years until Edgar Allan Poe revealed the whole thing was a big joke, a giant hoax. And this is a long, long, wonderful story about the history of faking people out by pretending that it is mechanical magic. Now, here's where we leap off, wondering about things. Amazon, yes, that Amazon, used to have, and maybe they still have, a service called Mechanical Turk, where they would you could hire people to do menial tasks for you at like a penny a mouse click, like entering data. They still have it. I love it. Oh, Gordon loves it. You love it as a user or as a buyer of the service? As a user, very interesting. And I guess you can have people research things for you or put in data, entry, whatever. That's fine. My despair is, whose idea was it to call that service that Gordon loves Mechanical Turk? Because if you know the history of the Mechanical Turk, it's negative. It's a ripoff. It's a joke. It's a hoax. It is fake AI. It's a guy in a box pretending not to be in a guy in a box. Now, maybe for some people, that's fun. Oh, I'm going to have a Mechanical Turk. And people are going to think I'm doing the work when I'm hiring someone else to do the work. Now, to me, that's a negative. I don't like it. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Hey, Gordon says, there's this one that I do at least once a week where I look at a few images and choose the order in which I prefer them and explain why I like A more than B, B more than C, etc. Get anywhere from 30 cents to $1 for each of them. It adds up. Now, that's interesting, Gordon, that you called yourself a user. Now, to me, that means you are not a user. You are the Turk. You are the Mechanical Turk. You are the Turk inside the machine. To me, the user is the person who's putting that up there and saying, Gordon, go pretend to, do this for me. Do it for me and pretend that I did it. So it's my result. So I think you're a worker. You're not a buyer. Gordon continues to say, like they'll show 4 images of tea kettles. I almost said tea kittens. It's been that kind of day. Tea kettles that the person will be selling on Amazon. And they want you to rank them so they'll do better selling the kettle. That's very interesting. I still don't like the name of the program. And it just reminds me as I read this story, because I always thought Mechanical Turk was a neat thing. It was like the first thing. Well, it's the first, I guess, hoax. The first magic trick that fooled people for 60 years. Until a writer of horror stories figured it out and said, you know what? What you think is real is not real. It's all a joke on you. You're the one losing the money. And I did a whole rant here and in my Human Being podcast about this whole idea of the Peer Gynt onion. Gordon says, all right, I work the Turk, and I am not a jerk while I twerk. That's not Burke. That's French for yuck. See? Gordon is entertaining himself. He is his own Mechanical Turk. I'm reminded of the Peer Gynt onion, where people today, not understanding the real idea of the onion, that I explained at length in my podcast episode. The original idea of Peer Gynt and the Onion is he's going slowly insane and he's looking for the meaning of life. And if he can just peel back the layers of this onion and get to the center, he'll find the answer he's seeking. And as he peels back the layers of the onion, he finds there's nothing there. That the thing that was there were all the layers of the onion that have now been discarded and cast away because they are old and stinky and molding. That is the story of the onion in Peer Gynt by Henrik Ibsen. But people, politicians especially, say, oh, January 6th, we're just beginning to peel away the onion. And unfortunately, there is something at the center of that onion, and it's named Donald J. Trump. But when you use the idea of the Peer Gynt onion, you're playing right into the Republicans' hands, saying, well, you're going to peel it all away and find there's nothing there. What you thought was there, the meaning of life, the answer you're seeking is not there because it's nothing. It's only the layers that tricked you and that there's something there. So today, people apply that idea of peeling back the onion to reveal something that they think is there, but is never there, is misbegotten and mistaken. Just as I argue in this moment that calling yourself a mechanical Turk today is not a good and positive thing. The Nebraska state motto should not be, we're not for everyone. It should be, as I argued in another Human Meme podcast episode, Nebraska. It's for everybody. And continuing this this thought. Have you heard about the new game show on Netflix? Oh yeah, it's called Squid Game. Now, history is short and memories are not long any longer. If you watched the original Squid Game television series a year ago, whatever, you know Squid Game is about killing people. The last living person wins, and you play these games and you die. So Netflix, desperate for money and subscribers and interest, are trying to recreate the excitement for Squid Game by creating a Squid Game game show where people compete against each other. And there are rational, reasonable people, unlike me, who think like me and say, hey, wait a minute, Squid Game was about killing people. Why are you having a game show based on Squid Game where people don't die, they just don't win? It's a misapplication of the idea. It is a misbegotten meme, as you might argue. And it's the wrong concept. If you want to have a game of survival, call it a game of survival. But don't name it after your hit show, Squid Game, just to get people to tune in to, some people are thinking it's going to be killing each other. Because some people are very gullible and trusting and believing. This also reminds me of this Google thing. Have you heard about this? Where Google has created this AI thing, and there's some guy who has written this article that Google's AI is actually living. It actually has the mentality of an 8-year-old child. Now, this guy has kind of been revealed to sort of be a hoax, and they were kind of editing the responses. But he said, oh, this AI from Google is real. And if we're going to ask it questions and we're going to tempt it and ask it different situations, we need to ask permission first from the AI before we continue. That's what this guy is saying, who I don't think works for Google anymore, was put on leave or something. Weird, right? And Google is saying, we don't believe that our AI is alive. We believe it's a machine. We believe it is artificial intelligence and not a real person. And this guy's trying to argue, well, you don't know that until you ask, until you find out. And it's all kind of ridiculous because there are people now who are entertaining the idea that this Google AI may actually be a person. Now, can you imagine the right wing getting all of that? Oh, Google is killing children. not respecting the rights of children, not asking permission first, just abusing them. It doesn't matter if they're AI or not, they're a person. And you're anti-mask and anti-vax. It doesn't matter. AI is people. People! And it's disturbing. And then this author in the Washington Post today extrapolates the idea that, well, what if AI does become stronger and powerful and we become slaves to AI? Which is what Elon Musk has been saying for 5 years. He said the biggest threat to humanity is artificial intelligence, because one day it's going to be smarter than us. Oh, people say, well, cut it off from the internet. And then if you start thinking that way, we say, well, the internet is energy and power, and so this artificial intelligence will just learn to use the roots of trees and sunlight and reflections to share information that way. Completely unproven and imagined, but in this day and age, AI is an 8-year-old child. I mean, anything goes, I guess. And it takes me back to an article that I wrote several years ago for bolesblogs.com. 2009, I was talking about this. Eliza Redux therapy will see you now. And hey, this is the article that I wrote. And it's about this therapy session. They've taken it down now. I tried to play it. I thought it was like a game, where you're talking to somebody who is pretending to be a therapist and asking you questions about your life. And I asked questions and sort of interestingly got answers back in 2009. And some people went there and thought they were speaking to a real therapist, and that was the trick, to see if they could trick you into believing that they were a real person. The Turing test. So what I would like to know, especially from this 8-year-old Google AI, I would like to speak to it. And this, I believe, is one way you find out how you get to the center of the onion to find out there's nothing there, is you have to ask these AI things, people, children, interesting questions that need an explanation and an example. Now that I've said that, there are going to be programmers out there who go to AI and program that in there. Fine. But I think the trick is can they convince you that they're really an independent thinking entity? Which I guess is the whole point behind AI, is that they don't need you to know what they know. So I would ask this AI, 8-year-old at Google, what is love? Explain idealism to me. I would focus on the philosophy of living. And I would ask them for an answer that doesn't really have one solution. It's not a binary choice. It's a value judgment. Something that is not fixed, something that is more ethereal and based on the experience of living. We need these AI people to tell us the why. WHY. Why? They are very good at solving problems that have beginning, middles, and ends. But they have a hard time explaining why. And usually they try to flip it around on you like Eliza Redux did in my therapy session. Why are you asking me that? Why do you think I'm alive? Don't flip it back on me, Eliza. You answer the question. And she couldn't, and she got frustrated with me, and she disconnected me. This is in 2009. Now, what would the 8-year-old sentient AI do to me today? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that most of us who want to know would be able to ask questions, and we would know rather quickly that AI is not the point of replacing us in any way. But that doesn't mean they're going to not stop trying. And there will be a point, as Elon Musk has said, where AI is going to realize, I guess like most children do, that they are smarter than the people who invented them. And then what? Law, morality, goodness of the soul, does any of that apply to someone who's born of bits and bytes? I don't know, probably not. But it's something interesting to consider. Because in the case of AI, when you peel back the onion, you're going to find that the nothing there is the everything that you could never imagine in your worst nightmares. And on that delightful and delicious note, I believe we've come to the end of our time together.